Hey, awesome folks, how's it going? I can see that the comments already, y'all are already chatting with each other. Hi, Eclectic. I love it when y'all are talking to each other, recognizing each other, and y'all are my favorite part. Hi there, Kom Senapati. Hi, Vidip. Welcome back. Hey, Emily, welcome back. I love it when y'all are recognizing each other and like just awesome, man. I think my favorite part is meeting y'all in person and y'all telling me your usernames. Hey, Arman. I'm good. I slept after our last stream, so I'm in a much better. My cognitive services are much better for us. Also, I might have a surprise for you all today, especially if you're an old MLH hacker. There's a really sweet surprise that might join us in a bit. I know, right? I really want to start again. It's just that I've been between cities, right? So I don't have a lot of things on me still. So I'm still setting up. As you can tell, you like in this house, you all haven't seen me do 2 streams at the same place. I'm still figuring out where it works best. So you see, I'm in a new place again. So, and I have like a bunch of screens. I'm trying to still figure out a lot of things. So help me out. Hi, Krusty Kunal. Oh, Emily, you're always welcome to crash with me. More than happy to have you here. Well, unfortunately, last session we couldn't complete a lot of things. So I'm going to first start there. We'll walk through a bunch of things. Complete the project. It's a very simple project. If you can't follow along, like point in this stream, that's fine, because the last stream we did every step very slowly. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly do a breezy run through, max 35-40 minutes, get our APIs deployed. Because our last session we were supposed to deploy our API and it works. I promise you. So we'll figure that out. Last time we had Copilot intruding in our code, so we'll make sure we turn off Copilot. When you know the code you want to write, Copilot isn't a helpful tool, so make sure you use Copilot when you're a little more lost. So yeah, we'll start with that. We'll finish what we were doing. I'll of course make sure everyone has context. If you all have joined the streams before, you all know these streams are very chill, we make sure everyone follows, right? Everyone has something to show off by the end of the stream. So we'll do that. And then we'll talk about a bunch of APIs and a bunch of softwares. I'll show them to you today. You can take all day today and tomorrow to download them, set them up. And Monday, we have a follow-up stream about today's session. Tomorrow, we have a web scraping stream, which will also build upon today's stream, both the streams. So we are building a small web application with web scraping, a server with web scraping. So we'll just continue on that. Web scraping is so much fun. Ask anyone who does testing. They use it so much internally also. So we'll look into that. Okay. Yes. Well, not exactly a speed run, because you all know I'm incapable of doing speed runs. You all know I'm going to go into detail. And if someone asks one question, we're going to go with the concept. But yeah, My voice is low. Is it for everyone? If it's for everyone, I can try and check on my setup. There, I am experimenting with it, so I can totally imagine things going wrong. But yeah, if it's okay for everyone else and just for you, I can still try and see if I can switch it up. Audio. Let's see. Is it fine for everyone else? Or it's fine. Okay, weird. Huh. Alright, I didn't do anything, so. Well, it's not that informative this time, Emily. It's a very simple thing. I know you all are already pros because you all make these cool projects every weekend, but it's okay to go over concepts because even I was so rusty today. My entire Git system is screwed. So my GitHub, I have to do upload files. I have to sit and fix that also. I think I lost track of what you all are discussing. But cool, continue. You all know I love it when you all talk. And hopefully our surprise will be here soon too. So let's dive right in. And of course, before we start, definitely register and check in, folks. As usual, I'm going to take you through the entire process. I already posted the link in Discord. I do end up making a bunch of mistakes there. So in case you don't see the right link there, this is the correct link that I'm putting in the chat as well. Nope, Yash, we just started. You're well in time. Thank you so much. I appreciate you going out of your way. I'm still working on my setup. Hopefully by Monday, it's going to be a smooth setup. For example, today I did such a smart thing. So the first stream I took to make sure that I was using my laptop. Now this one, I set up my monitor, which came today morning, which I especially got for the stream. I don't have a keyboard. I forgot about the keyboards. I have a mouse. I have a entire setup, but I don't have a keyboard. So now I'm using the laptop to type, which is so much worse and so hilarious. Like if you someone saw me working, like it's not an engineer. It's a very me thing for me to do, but good stories for y'all. All right, awesome. What are we going to do in the stream? I just covered it, but I'm going to cover it again when we do the PPT, so don't you worry. Checked in, awesome, amazing. Yes, I am also. I'm going to eventually start doing stream stand-up, I feel, at this rate, the way I've been doing things. But okay. Folks, log in and register. Simple task. It'll take you to this page. That means you can hit sign in now because it automatically takes you to sign up. I'll just fill the details up very quickly. There you go. So once you log in, and there you go, I am checked in. And awesome, I am registered and checked in. Hopefully, Emily never sends me sacked for GHW, but yeah. So that's it, folks. Once you're done doing this, it'll be great because you all get more stickers based on the number of sessions you attend. I still need to check on the exact rules and the exact number of metrics that MLH start with this GHW. But yeah. Oh yeah. So Pranav, I used to do some really cool streams earlier with live soldering. Once I have my setup, maybe by next GHW, we'll do that. Okay. With the monitor, I want to know how you're sitting because right now I'm having to like completely move and like my laptop's in front of my monitor and whatnot. So it's hilarious, my setup. I'll send a picture on Discord. Oh, I'm so sorry about that, Yash. This is something we can look into. If I ask Emily for stacks, they'll be like, yeah, no. But you should definitely get some. I'll. That's the plan. That's the plan. Hopefully, before this GHW ends. All right, folks, let's dive in. Let me pull up my PPT very quickly. Well, not very quickly, but give me a minute. Working with new setup is more difficult than I would like to admit, but that's a good thing. I'm starting to realize I'm too comfortable with my home setup, so this way I'm going to keep changing things up and make sure I'm more flexible. So I'm going to open the same PPT as we were following today morning, and hopefully today, this time we'll get time to cover the theory that we did in the morning because we were going to spin up the project first. Window. All right, folks. If you all are joining us for the first time, we're talking about APIs. We also discussed in the morning what are APIs. If you all are up for it, we can do the intuition exercise again. If not, we can skip forward. But yeah, let's keep going. No, wrong tab. Okay. So cool. We will be doing this, and if you all are again here after a long time or here for the first time, hi folks, I'm Ritzvi. I am a coach at MLH and I call myself a maker. Usually my background's a much better representation of what I do, but I usually do all sorts of weird stuff from glass, metal, wire work and whatnot. So if you ever want to talk about that or are looking for some ideas for your next hackathon, definitely reach out to me. But yeah, cool. Let's continue. What is an API? We already covered this. So in case again you all are joining here for the first time or here after a long time, we do this thing called intuition exercise. We did a really cool one today morning. You can go check out that video. But basically, you don't have to give me the definition. You do not have to be correct. You don't have to be anywhere near technology or technical terms. You need to tell me, or feel free to tell me, whatever is the first thing that pops into your head when you hear the word API. Is there an image that pops into your head? Is there a device? Is there a person? When you think of, when someone says API around you, what's the first thing that pops in your head? Yes, people are ready with their waiter analogies, which is great. Connection, great job. Tunnel. That's interesting. I haven't heard tunnel before. Chimpanzees. I want to understand more about how you think of chimpanzees. Very, very technical. No, Mr. Closop, you're not late at all. Mr. Closop was there in my last stream, so we're just going to be finishing off a lot of things and just covering a bunch of things again. Okay. Yes, a waiter, and my favorite example that I'll give in the end, a telephone call. That's very interesting, Emily. Thank you. URL. That's another very interesting way to put it, Pranav. Thank you so much. Yeah, so basically we couldn't cover the entire PPT, right? So we're just gonna, we're actually gonna do the first half of the stream. I'm just gonna go over the entire thing over again and make sure everyone's on the same page because we couldn't deploy it on Rapid API, right? So I'm gonna show you the part from getting it on GitHub to deploying it on Rapid API. All right, REST, awesome. Yes, the siblings one is very cool, right? Front end to back end. Great job, folks. So I'm going to keep it short this time. Beautiful examples. You all have such creative heads. So great. So this is an intuition exercise. The logic behind this is you all already have a lot of understanding of something when it's spoken because everything is contextual. So when you do this later on, connecting dots is easier and remembering and retaining is easier also. All right, awesome. Let's move on. Cool. So API is an application programming interface. We've covered this. If you all have any questions, you all can ask me later, right? So this is a really cool way to imagine it, right? So APIs and this API management system, because any of your application, right? Any application of yours at any given point of time is using at least more than one API, right? So your authentication is happening probably with one API. Your just rendering might be happening from one API. So there's a lot of APIs at work in a given application, right, or a given server. So then you have an API management system, and then there's something called microservices, and then there's something called orchestration. So the things cascade, but the basic element of it, the Lego block which starts everything, is the API, right? So it's a fairly important, but ironically and beautifully, a very simple concept, right? So these are the types of APIs, right? There's something called SOAP APIs, RPC APIs, REST APIs, and WebSocket APIs. Okay, we'll mostly be discussing WebSocket and REST APIs. We can go over these later if you all want me to cover the concepts. Okay, mostly we'll be talking about this. So do you all want to talk very quickly about REST APIs? What's a REST API? That is such a nice example, Pranav. Very creative. I like this. I wish I could compile the chats sometime, like these comments, and maybe make like a word cloud. Next time we'll do a word cloud. Tomorrow we'll do a word cloud, and we'll put it for today in GHW. REST. Yes, what's REST? The API that rests. Nice, and doesn't talk with us. Well, not the best conditioning. That's a very good example. An API which uses HTTPS to communicate. That sleeps a lot. Great job. I love the mood you all are in. It's an architecture, okay? That's another way to look at it. External API. Awesome. This is a very good example with it. Thank you. Returns a JSON. Okay, that's one way to put it. Okay, great job. So your REST API, like, really good line on this slide that I love talking about is all web services are API, but not all APIs are web services. So API, believe it or not, came and has been one of the most basic blocks in your applications before the internet. Okay, so your API, application programming interface, remember all the examples you gave, is basically an interface, right? So your applications and computers existed before the internet came into the picture, right? So for that, an API, of course, helps web services, but not every API is supposed to be a web service. Make sense, folks? So if you build like a local testing application, right? Or I'll give you an example of one of the projects I built. So I built a testing application in which I had a GUI and a serial port on which there was communication happening, and I was testing a device. I had no need for internet connectivity whatsoever, right? So I did have an API, right? I did have an application programming interface, but I wasn't using the internet, right? Now, that's not a very good example, but the idea is APIs have been around before the internet and have been aiding and have been a Lego block in application building and software engineering before the internet. Okay, so all web services are APIs, but not all APIs are web services. Okay, but modern web APIs are REST APIs, and the terms can be used interchangeably. So even though, for understanding sakes, yes, when it might be a very colloquial term to call everything, an API, or the web service is an API, but it is true. Because right now, almost everything, or not almost actually, every interface is basically an API, right? So, great. Next question. Webhook versus API. What's the difference? Well, you can. Sometimes you give a good acknowledgement. If you give a good acknowledgement, then you're tipping the API. Yes, exactly. I'm not sure this is correct though, but I'm going to take your word for it. I love how you all have sidetracked completely. I'm glad you all are tipping your waiters and your API. Webhook versus API, folks. What's the difference? Can anyone try to tell me? Nice. I love the analogies that you are by default coming up with. Exactly the point of that exercise. Great job. Event-based, like some conditions, great server to client, and build. All right, great job. You all have a good understanding, right? So yes, you all are correct to some extent. Let me find my PPT again because I am good at losing it. Found it. So yeah. API versus webhooks, like they're definitely not the same things, right? They might seem like the same things when you're using them, but they're not. But they always exist together, right? This is the fun part, right? So they exist together, and a webhook is more like a reversed API, right? It pings the server when the data is available. So instead of you doing CRUD applications, like you're asking data, you're updating data, you're deleting data, it does it. So when it senses like there's a difference, it's basically watching, and every time it sees a difference, it pings. Right? Make sense, folks? Fair enough. I know you all are very meticulous, all of you, right? So I'm not going to get into the details, right? When we end up using them, we'll get into the details. And like I said, I haven't covered a lot of the very deep technical concepts because I'd rather you make a project today and then, we read about it together. Exactly, right? So like I said, what we said earlier was they're not the same things, but they exist together, which means ideally, if you have an API, you will also have some form of a webhook involved, right? Remember when we were doing, if you all joined us last GHW, when we were trying to create an automation, we were using webhooks, right? We were basically not asking for data, but waiting for the data to tell us, okay, the data has been updated, right? Really good example. Right? All right, cool. So yeah, we'll again, very interesting concepts again here at play too, but I would rather you all look them up later, like the technical depth later, because I can explain the definitions over and over, and you really won't take a lot from it. I like the analogy. It's a good analogy, but I don't think that's a correct example. It's not the correct example because we're using a specific package for doing that, but you could compare the package to it being a webhook, right? It's not a thing that exists somehow. It's literally a reverse API, right? So over there, you're basically creating a request or alerting your application when there's a change, rather than when you're using an API. In APIs, you always have endpoints in APIs, right? And the endpoint is basically going to give you data. Okay, and of course, when you move on to slightly more advanced, you can also do a bunch of actions. But in the end, you're always asking for things or you're sending requests, right? And you're reaching out to the endpoint. In a webhook, it's the other way around. Exactly, right? That's the example I gave you earlier. So basically, you use a lot of webhooks when you're trying to set up notifications, correct? Okay, but great questions. We will dive a little more into the webhook architecture if you all want to in a bit. But let's move on to the project, okay? Webhooks, yes, system events, and APIs, you have to find events. That's actually a really nice way to put it. Good job, Mr. Kuzov. Right? Mm-hmm. I do love hardware examples, and I'm so proud of you all when you all come up with that yourself. Right? Cool. Moving on. So we've already done a lot of it today in the earlier stream. So my plan is to wrap up this entire thing in the next 30-40 minutes and then move on to the actual things we're discussing today. I'm not in a rush because we do have 2 more streams to cover everything, right? So what I'll do is today we're just going to discuss different applications, different softwares. Once you all set it up, you all will have a good 1.5 days to set it up because a couple of them can be a little heavy. Once you all set it up, we'll do projects on them tomorrow and day after. Okay. Okay. Last track of thread of comments. Brownie points. Nice. Is this your first GHW? I'm so glad to see you. Rapid API is a really cool platform. I agree. Lovely analogy. I love how you all are being so creative today, right? Cool. So let's move on, right? So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and we'll move on to our VS Code. I'm going to quickly explain to everyone who wasn't there in the earlier stream what we have done till now. The code is available on GitHub. So in case, I'll actually be updating the code right now because there was something wrong with the code in the morning and I was too sleepy and I was making a bunch of mistakes. So I'll update the code in front of you all. There's a bunch of bracket mistakes. That's 8. And then we'll add it. We'll first deploy the repo onto render and then we'll use render endpoint, the URL created, to deploy it on Rapid API. Okay, folks? All right. Great job. I'm going to be on other screens for a bit, so in case I miss chat, remind me if you want me to see something specifically. Okay. Server. Okay, cool. I'm going to share my screen to VS Code. Where's my VS Code? I closed my VS Code. That's how tired I was. Fun. All right. So I'm going to write that code all over again in front so that we know what was the mistake that was happening. So I only put the boilerplate code, and what I'll do is I'll also keep putting the code in chat. Okay. So this should be easier. Share screen. Where's my StreamYard again? Give me 1 second, folks. Too many tabs and too many things open. Okay, so I am going to try and share my screen entirely so that it's easier for us to follow. VS Code. Week. Cool. API week. Okay, let me share my screen before I start opening the server. Someday I'm going to figure this out. Send, share screen, share screen. Alright, is my screen visible to you all? Someone joined? Alright, cool. Folks, I'm sorry I missed a bunch of chat. I'll catch up with it in a bit, but let's continue quickly and wrap this up, okay? So this is where we were at, okay? And I'm going to quickly start adding code that actually works. So there was a bunch of code that we were doing for web scraping earlier, and that wasn't working. What did I do? Did I just close everything? That's it. Great. Cool. Let's go here. Okay. Right. So there's a lot of code that comments. Okay. So you can see that over here my Nodemon is still crashing, and we're gonna fix that in a bit. Okay. So let's go back to. Let me give me 1 second, folks. Give me just an open. So folks, if you all are joining us for the first time and want to follow along, what you need to do is basically install Node and make a new folder and run an npm init in it. Okay, and in case you want to open the other video from morning in the side and follow along, let me know. I'm happy to help you out in case you get stuck at some point. Okay. Right, so we're going to start with the first piece of code. I want to know if everyone's following along, and if you all are following along, let me know if you all are on the same page as this. You can follow along in whatever tech stack you want. This is not something you need to do. It's a web scraping that needs to be consistent, right? So I'm going to continue with the code here, right? So I'm going to first of all disable Copilot for this one. Okay, because it was very distracting last time, right? So we're going to start with this, okay? in case you all are here for the first time, I'd recommend just get your index.js file sorted right now. Just make an index.js file along with us, and I'll help you set up the rest of it while other people are, deploying the project. Okay. Cool. So we're going to start with app.get challenges. So what we're trying to do is basically we're trying to create an API service in which if someone hits your API service, they get all the list of GHW challenges that are running. Okay. So that's what we're trying to do. So let's start. So we've gotten, we're using a bunch of packages here. We have Express, Axios, Cheerio, and we're using Nodemon to watch the changes and run the server. Okay. Challenges. Okay. Then we're gonna do our usual request response thing. We're gonna go on to create our first route. Okay. Is anyone following along? Is there anyone following along? If not, I can just quickly write the yes and no. If you all aren't following along, I'll just quickly put in the code. I won't explain a lot of it. And you all can just... Okay, cool. So I'll do it. And I'll quickly just explain. In case you have questions, let me know. Okay. So I'm going to do an Axios.get. Axios is basically going to get us the data and route us to the URL that we're putting. Okay, so I'm going to quickly explain what we've done till now. Sorry, this won't be data. This will be HTML. Cool. Thank you so much for pointing that out. Oh, it doesn't matter. That's fine with it. So you can add, because every time you're registering a domain, you can add the www and it works. Either way works. Okay. Where are you all talking about? No, this I have a / right? Keshav, what's the mistake that you're pointing out? Oh, okay. All right. Cool. So what's happening till now is basically we're going to this specific URL. We're asking to get response. We're basically loading all the data. Then we're taking the response and we're loading into this variable called HTML. Okay. And then what we're doing is we're using Cheerio, which is going to help us reference all the HTML tags. So it's going to take all the HTML data, right, and use, so now we can call our data from anchor, headings. So you can say, okay, all the headings, put them in this array. All the, key value pairs, put them here. So that's what we're doing. Okay. What we're going to do next is we're going to now first reference the anchor tag because that's where all the URLs are. That's how we're filtering it out. What have I done wrong, folks? Oh, it's fine. It's fine. We'll save it later. I mean, it's fine. We can save it. But see, there you go. It's running it. Thank you so much. All right. So what's going to happen next, what we're going to do is basically we're going to use the anchor tag. We're using empty anchor tag. If there's an anchor tag, that is our card. And then what we're doing is we're arranging all the details, the card details into the title and the URL. Okay. So that's a simple thing that we're going to do. All right. Let's continue. and this is going to happen right inside here. Okay. So let's continue. We're going to do, so our last variable, which the $sign variable here, has all the data with the Cheerio references. So Cheerio has loaded it along with its tags in the $data. So we're using this data to call it, using this variable to call it, right? We're doing $, and then we're doing A, which is anchor tag, contains. And you can use any tag here, right? So you go through Cheerio's documentation. Async is not necessary to add it because it's anyway a simple operation that we're doing it. It will work without async. It contains, okay, and we're doing contains empty, right? We just want it to be there, and we'll close this. And I know it's okay. Okay, contains this, and outside we're doing, where's the data? Our data is in HTML, right? That's the variable that we've used to store all the data, right? And now for each anchor tag, what we're going to do is each. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create a function here, right? So start function, use the, you found the bug? Great. I was just going to rewrite the entire code anyway, so it's fine, right? So now what we're going to do is we want first JSON being declared title. So the title is going to be equal to $, right? This dot the text, right? We first want to get the text in that anchor tag. We're assuming here that the first text in the anchor tag is the title, right? You can also call this just data and not title, which is fine, right? Because we're just getting all the information about the challenger, right? So, where am I? Title this dot text. Okay. Then the next, what we're doing is const URL, which is now equal to, again, the Cheerio loaded data. We're using that to call this dot attribute. And over here, we're using href, basically the link. We're saying wherever there's a link, this is the tag that you use for link. Give me that. Okay. Now that I have all of this, all I'm going to do is I'm going to do a simple thing. I'm going to push this into the global array that I've created for challenges, right? So I'm going to take this challenges dot push. And what am I pushing? I'm pushing the I'm sorry, you've put the, in the line 13, I've put the callback function with the root. No, this is separate. This is inside it. Oh, I see what you mean. You mean this bracket is unnecessary. Thank you so much. Right? This is what you meant, right, folks? Function keyword is wrong. Thank you so much. Perks of live coding. Let's fix this. It's anyway ending in the next. And each. Okay. Each is fine here. Attribute here is fine. App.get challenges. Yes, thank you so much. That makes a lot of sense. Cool. I'm going to fix this bracket in the end. Let's just finish the code first so that I can explain it to you in one single flow, and then we'll fix all the errors. Okay, I'm live coding, so I'm going to make a bunch of mistakes. Let's fix them. Yes, there is a missing bracket somewhere. I messed it up. Let's fix it in a bit. Okay. So what we're going to do is, now what we're doing is we're pushing the data into the challenges variable that we've created, right? So I'm going to do challenges.push, but what am I pushing into it, right? So I'm going to be pushing my title and URL, right? Simple code, folks. This code's simple. I know there's a bunch of syntax errors. I'm going to fix them in a bit, but understand the code first, and then we'll fix the syntax syntax errors in a bit. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to return the response with the JSON value. Correct? So my code here, over here, this ended challenges.push. So right after this, the function, I'm going to just return res.json. And what am I returning in that? Challenges. Okay? So this is where now, if I want to write some good practice code, I can add a catch error here, which we'll do later, right? So let's fix our error first. So let's see where the bracket comes. It's the brackets here. Perfect. This should do. And we should be good. So I'm going to hit save. And it crashed. That means we have some mistake somewhere. Okay. HTML.h function. This dot text. This dot href challenge.push. Okay. Then we have this ending challenges here. Where is this bracket going? The function, hopefully. Right. And then we have so that's the thing. This is crashing and it's not supposed to crash. I did try the code again, and the thing is autocomplete is being a little bit of an issue here, right? So what we've done is we've added axios.get. This is fine. App.get is fine. Weird. Challenges, attribute, A contains response. Response is here. I think this is where the mistake is. I think this bracket should be ending here and not here. Okay, let me. Okay, so what I've done is I just used AI to basically see what the mistake was, and it rendered this code. So let's see what we were doing wrong. We got this. I still can't tell what we were doing wrong though. Right? This is going. Where's this? Cool. Anyway, so this is your final code. I'll be pushing this up into GitHub for you all to check. But let's test out our port that we've chosen to run this is 8000. So this is our first response. This. I hope so, man, because I don't know. It's screwed up in the morning also, and I'm guessing it's some syntax issue somewhere, or maybe some formatting issue. Anyway, it was correct what we did. Anyway, so now this is running. Let's check out our challenges here. So slash challenges. Great. So we are getting a bunch of readouts because the GHW also has a bunch of readouts, but that's fine. We basically have gotten all the A tags. Now what you can do is you can now use Cheerio to further sort through the tags. So let's see, you can go to the website, which is GHW.io. You can click on inspect. Where's my inspect? More tools. Developer tools. There you go. Right. So when you click on inspect, and you can keep wrong elements. My bad. Right. So now you can go here and you can keep expanding it and keep getting the names of what's really happening. And then what you can do is, once you get the correct ones, let's say I go up here. So I know this is not the one. So let's say okay, so let's say I go here and let's see where this thing comes. This is the body. this is what we need to keep doing, right? We keep going into where it's highlighting. So this is somewhere here is where your frame is going to be, and you can keep looking for it, right? So that's a good point. Thank you so much. Let's go to the challenges page, right? So this is the challenges page, and it is a fairly nested website. I remember that especially because there you go. So this is today's challenges. So from here, you can now see what the component type is. You can, you can look if there's a specific name that's happening or there's a special tag that you can compare, and you can create your own data that you can get, and you can, filter it out more. So you can also have like challenges / Oracle, and you can make sure that the keyword that you're looking for in your entire scraping is Oracle. So in our URL over here, we can have multiple redirects and multiple endpoints that you're giving, right? So if you're trying to deploy a service, the further you can act on it, it's better, right? So cool. What I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to hit save here and add this to GitHub so that you all can access this code. And what we'll do is we'll quickly deploy it to our render as well. Okay, so let me quickly, okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a second and open GitHub. So you need to declare. A bunch of websites encourage you to web scrape. For example, news websites and GHW, right? So every time I tell Mary we're going to do that, she's so happy. Some websites encourage web scraping. Some don't. So when they don't, they usually give you an API that you can use to access their data if they don't want you web scraping. Exactly. Right? So let me quickly open GitHub. Okay. So that's what I said, right? So I think news websites are a good example, right? Because they're always one of the favorite things people scrape, right? And it's also useful. Depends on how you're using it. You can create some pretty cool APIs using news data, right? Especially for us in tech, you can customize feeds. You can have a customized feed for specific companies, and I know a lot of things already exist, but this can be very useful for your next project, right? Okay. If GitHub does not let me sign in, I'll have to use my other account. So give me 1 second. Okay. I'm going to share my screen again, folks. That is so cool, Emily. I would love to hear your story tomorrow when we do specific stream on web scraping. Cool. So I'm going to quickly share my screen, and what we can do is we'll quickly upload the correct code onto our GitHub and continue deploying it on Rapid API. Okay. So where's my GitHub? Did I lose my StreamYard? Where's my StreamYard? Ah, found it. Okay, so share screen. So this was the code earlier. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the code in the one that we created today, right? So this was the exact code last year. We're going to go here, repositories. This is what I'm working with today. So we're going to go here. I'm going to go ahead and upload file. I hit save, right? Changes. Cool. So this is done. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go to render, right? Basically deploy the things. It should have taken ideally, because we did the thing in the morning, it should have taken the changes from the repo. But for people joining for the first time, I'm just going to show it quickly once more. Okay, so I'm going to do a web service. I'm going to do a build and deploy from Git repo. Over here, I'm going to connect a repo. So this is the one that I want. A bunch of things I'm going to do. So this is taking a new name, which is fine. This doesn't matter. Ideally you should choose a region nearest to you. So for me, it will be Southeast Asia, but not too much of a difference. Main, that's our branch. We do not have a special root directory. Our runtime is Node. We have an npm install. And over here, our start command is npm learn start. We want the free tier, and we are good, right? So I'm going to quickly go ahead and create the web service. While this web service gets created, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open Rapid API. Bye, man. Render is free. There are a bunch of tiers and you can use it. That's so cool. Rapid API, right? So let's open Rapid API. Okay, folks, I did not keep a track of a bunch of chat, so just let me know if there's something I missed and please put them again, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and hit my APIs, create a new API. Okay, so my name's going to be GHW API week. Okay, description is getting challenges from the GHW website. Now, you all don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. You all can pick another website, make a different API altogether, and that's it. Personal, education, add API project. This is where it'll take you. Let me know if anyone's following along. I'll go slower, but otherwise, just stick up, and you can come back later. Okay. So website and everything is optional, but for the base URL is the URL you're going to add here. So let's see. This is running. Great. So let's test it. Let's go back to settings. So we don't need to go back to settings. Actually, we can stick in logs. And I'm going to open this endpoint. So this is the endpoint we have. So copy. And while this loads, it's going to take a second to load. Okay. While it loads, I'm going to add the URL here, the base URL. So this is the base URL. And that's it. I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to go on to definitions. Okay. Why isn't this loading? It's sad. It's fine. It might take a while to deploy it. By the time this runs, what we can do is we're going to add an endpoint because that's what we want in the end, right? So we're going to create a REST endpoint. Okay. Our endpoint is going to be get all challenges, right? And what are we getting here? So we're going to add challenges, and I think I know what. So ideally there'll be a test endpoint here. In case you're not getting that, that means in general I haven't added. Weird. Why am I not getting this? Because it's not deployed. Definitions, document, because I haven't had a description, right? So getting all the challenges and data from the challenges page of GHW website. Okay, and we should be good here. We have dot challenges. We have a get because we're getting information, and that should be it. We don't need to do anything else. Once this, I think, is activated, you should be able to test the API. There we go. Now it's running. Let's test it here also. So this is running. Let's add challenges. It's very slow for some reason. There we go. So this is running fine. We're getting all the challenges. We're getting a lot more information as well. But that's fine. Let's edit this. We should be able to test the endpoint here. I don't know what's wrong though. Get challenges, center data, challenges, changes, endpoint. Let's let me get this. Weird. So definitions, you should be able to get a test endpoint. If you're not getting a test endpoint, that means something is wrong. And you can also set the response code. You can have a custom response code. So let me quickly check why this isn't running. Okay, let's. Is anyone trying to deploy it with me? The Rapid API thing. I wonder what's wrong. Base URL. I don't know. Let's see if this helps. Okay, I'm gonna try another URL from here and let's see if that works. My previous URL, in that case, we know that the problem is with the rendering and not the API itself. So we're gonna go here. Copy. Let's see if this works. Change it. Weird. Weird. Let me fix this in a bit, but I'll show you the one that works, right? So let me show you this. So this one is what works. This is the same thing, but with a different. It's not that public does not matter. Probably that could be the reason, but I don't think that's the reason because this one's working fine. So if I go in definitions and I go and edit, I can test my endpoint here, right? It's the same thing that I've done. The same repo is connected to the other one as well. So we're getting a response here that it's not working. No, we got the response here, right? We got all the titles and everything. So I think it's gonna take a while. It took me a while for this as well. So I think we'll check back on that other API in a bit, but it's all the same otherwise, right? So you can see that the URL is the same. I just did it a long time back, right? So the get challenges is the same. Everything else is the same, right? So yeah, this is how you deploy it, and now it's deployed. And what you can also do is you can monetize it. Right? Oh, you all want this URL? Yep, you all can use this URL. Here you go. There you go. Right? So you all can use this URL if you want. But yeah, so I think it's gonna be a while before the other one comes up. Still can be confused why though. There we go. It came. So it takes a while. That's what's happening, right? So this is the one that we were working on, and it takes a while to pop up. So that's it. And once it does, you can test your endpoint, and you'll get a response right here when it's testing it. And yeah, you have your API deployed. So now you can also monetize it. So for every time someone uses it, right, you can actually have, so let's say you make a simple API project over the weekend, and you can start earning by making APIs. So awesome. I am a little sad that a lot of y'all couldn't follow along, which is fine. It was a little rough earlier today in the stream anyway. I know it does, right? So yeah, it's okay. We're still figuring out a bunch of things. So it's fine. We took time, but we figured it out, so that's fine. But yeah, if you all want or have any other questions, let me know. We can definitely discuss it tomorrow and day after. I am going to close this, and what we're going to do is I'm going to give you all, I think, 10ish minutes, quick hydration break, and then we'll come back, go over the PPT and start discussing softwares and things we'll need tomorrow and day after. Okay, tomorrow our stream's at 1:30 p.m. IST, and that should be fun too. Cool. So let's take a quick 5-10 minute break. If you all have any questions or are trying to do any of the steps, try it for sure. I would love to see your APIs deployed, and you all don't have to do GHW challenges. You all can do something with the schedule. There's a lot you can play around with, and it has nothing to do with GHW either. Right? You can make your own thing. Maybe dev post, right? I don't know how much dev post would appreciate being scraped, but you can definitely email them and check. But cool. So let's take a quick 10-minute break, and then we'll meet back here and start looking at some really cool APIs and softwares that we'll be using tomorrow. Okay? Oh, you did it with Goodreads. That's really cool. Sounds good. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, you know what? Give it a minute. The URL, I think it's going to take a while for it to kick in. So just put it in and then give it a minute. Come back like 5 minutes later, it works. I honestly don't know. I'm probably going to put in a support email to understand or go through your docs to understand if there's something I'm missing. Or that's a very good question, Mr. Cluzox. Did you deploy it with it? I'm sure you deployed it. You're not using the localhost URL, right? Oh, perfect. Awesome. So great. Give it a minute. I think it should pop up. I don't know why it's taking so long. But in case it doesn't, send me a URL and I'll try to create a new API with that. Okay? Well, I'm glad you're doing it then. Okay, folks, I'll see you all in 10 minutes. All right, folks, how's it going? Did you all take a good break? Oh, thank you so much, Skull Crusher. Hi there, Shishao. No audio. Why is there no audio? There should be audio. Still no audio, folks? Okay, yes, yes, audio. Okay, cool. All right, great. Awesome. Cool. So we're done with the difficult part, rather the trickier part. So we can, if you all are trying it, please let me know. I'm again available to help the next all throughout the GHW time, of course. And yeah, let's move on to discussing some pretty cool stuff. It's gonna be very chill. We're just gonna have fun looking at some really cool APIs, looking at some really cool use cases. I want you all to, you all want sticker drops? You know what? I can actually ask Mary for it. But unfortunately, it's the weekend, so not over the weekend, but maybe Tuesday streams. I can do maybe some sticker drops in the Tuesday stream. Okay? And I have a bunch of today in GHWs also, so you might see me in one of the today in GHW streams. Okay? Cool. So, okay, let's go on to, I'm going to be showing you all some softwares I would like you all to download. You all can take a note of it. And what I'll do is I'll also post a list of it on Discord. Okay. Let me close these. Cool. Share tab. Share screen. Window. Okay. So over here, let's start with something called Touch Designer. You all know I love that software, right? So we're going to be using Touch Designer at some point tomorrow and day after. Okay. Touch Designer is basically this really cool graphic software. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and connect some APIs to it, and we're going to look into some different types of APIs also, and look into some technical intricacies of how APIs can change based on how how much the data you want to send and receive. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. So, great. So this is what I want you all to download. This is a very, very cool software. I love it, and I've been trying to use it, and it's pretty complex, right? So, yeah, I want you all to get this in your systems if possible, of course. If you don't want to do it, it's fine. I'll find some workarounds for you all. Yes, I love Touch Designer, and I try to make sure that I do at least one session on Touch Designer in every GHW streams that I do. Okay, so that's one thing I want you all to do. And the other thing I want you all to look at is processing, right? So, processing.org, they also have their fellowship calls open. So I would love for you all to check it out and maybe even apply if you all like it, right? So this is another really cool artistic graphy software, and you can see there are a bunch of things that they offer. In case you all don't feel like downloading anything, we'll use p5.js. If you all do end up wanting to go all the way, I would suggest downloading processing in your systems. Yeah. Oh, I'm surprised, Emily, it's new to you. I thought you followed along one of the Touch Designer and p5.js tutorials. But if not, fun. I'm glad it's new to you. I'll have fun with you all following along, right? So try and download this, go through it, and then what we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to do some very fun projects. We're going to use processing in Touch Designer and connect them with ml5.js, right? So if you have you all used ml5.js? Cool. So this is another thing we'll use tomorrow. It's very cool. It's very simple, and it's really fun. It's good to have fun with it. Okay? Yes, p5.js from last GHW, right? So Touch Designer, p5.js, or processing, and ml5.js. I would like you all to go through it, get acquainted, make your accounts everywhere, right? Because we end up spending a lot of time just signing up for different accounts, I've realized, right? And what we'll be doing is we'll be doing a bunch of things. I'll actually send you all some options that you all want to do. So what we can do is we can make something that is shareable for you all, of course. And I, of course, want you all to look into the fellowship that they're doing right now. So processing, download, reference, open processing. Yep, this is the organization, and they do have a where's the fellowship? Yeah, there we go. Fellowships, right? So they have this really cool fellowship open, and I really would love for you all to. Yeah, you can make generative art using this. Then I did not know this specific challenge, but yeah, you can use any of this. You can actually use both Touch Designer and processing to do that, and add some really cool AI features, right? So this is a really cool fellowship. I would love for you all to apply for this. They have some pretty cool themes, and especially because most of you all try to apply for your MLH fellowships. This is a really nice. This is one of the the most really strong and with really good ethos organization in the open source, and this beautiful tech with art intersection. So I would really like you all to apply. And yeah, tomorrow we'll just get started with some simple things. And if you all like it, I would love to see what you'll make. Okay, so yeah, that's it. And then there's something called January, right? So we missed it this time, but maybe next year you all can participate. So like we have Inktober, people draw sketches every day in October. January is something just run by the community where everyone creates one generative art uh, on every day of January, and there are prompts. So this year's prompts, we can have a look, and what we can do is we can do some exercises tomorrow on both, and then try and create some of the prompts, right? So there's some simple prompts like this, and what you can also do is you can go to their repo and start suggesting for the next year. Cool? Everyone on the same page? Everyone excited? And tomorrow we're going to be doing web scraping. So we basically, tomorrow I don't want you all to have any accounts anywhere. The Rapid API, I'm hoping God will already sign up by then. So what we're trying to do is we're going to play around with web scraping and see how you can filter out data and basically be on the side where you're trying to provide data, right? So you're going to try and filter data, see how data is being consumed on the other end, especially if it's, attained in different ways, right? Fair enough, Emily. Fair enough. So let me know where you all are. I'll keep them open. What I'll do is I'll start sending you all the links in the chat very quickly so that you all can follow along. And there we go. So this is Touch Designer's website. This is p5.js. You can actually start playing with p5.js immediately. We can actually do a couple of examples right now. Let me walk you through a bunch of examples. This is where I would love to see you all apply and maybe get a spot. Oh, and ML5.js is really fun to start or get quick ML models, funny ML models too, a lot of times. Cool. And then there's January that we'll try and cover a bunch tomorrow. So not tomorrow, mostly day after, but we can start on it tomorrow depending on the time. Right? So the next session for the art and creativity is on Monday, right? So tomorrow we will focus on web scraping, and on Monday we'll do some cool stuff. Right? Cool. I think I sent all the links. I did. This is open processing, and this is another projects of same art plus tech. So let me quickly add that as well. So the thing is, ML5.js is actually something that makes your life very easier in terms of models. You can give it like very little data, and it starts creating things out of models out of it. So I'll show you. Right? It's a very simple interface. It's basically for people to get started with who really no clue how ML works and things like that. So where's the ML5.js? I wonder. There's this thing that they have. UI, a really cool UI. I think they took it down. Oh. I know I'll find it somewhere. I think they took it down. They spin it funny down, but I'm sure there'll be a branch of it somewhere. ML5.js UI. Okay, I think they took it down altogether. But it's fine. I'll find you all the interface. Basically, what it did was you could give it a bunch of sketches and a bunch of pictures, and it would spin up a model immediately. It was obviously not very accurate, but it did the job pretty well. So let me quickly see if I can get you an old example of it. Yeah, they've spun down the official, like the version altogether. You'll have to run it locally, which is fine. We'll run it locally when we do. But yeah, now you can go through the documents. That'll be good for everyone, right? So we'll look into this tomorrow. We'll spin it up tomorrow. I haven't really spun it in the local machine either, but it'll be fun, right? There's some samples too. We can go over them tomorrow. So these are some examples that they've used. So you see this happening with the mouse. You can create all of that with p5.js. So you can actually add this to your website. Okay, let's see what should we use. We'll use image. Yeah, I think my RAM. Yeah, there we go. Let's see. But I'm guessing I'm going to have to give an image here. But basically, yeah. Okay, tinkersynth.com. Let's see. Tinkersynth. Interesting. Ooh, this does look fun. We can actually use this also tomorrow. I'll actually go through it. Oh, wow. This is actually a lot. Oh, this is actually very cool. Thanks, Emily, for this. Folks, this is very cool. You all should definitely check this out. I know, right? It's very cool. We're going to be doing some very cool stuff. Today's stream ran over, otherwise you would have started with p5.js. I'm just going to take you through some of the examples, right? So what p5.js basically is doing, or processing rather is doing, it's creating an abstraction, right? So how you have Arduino IDE, if you've ever used it, it's basically what it's doing. That's not how, you usually code industry level things, right? So it's abstracted a lot of things to make your life easier and give you more time to do the thing you actually want to do instead of setting up to that point, right? So if you want to create art with, code and a lot of things, you're going to end up spending a lot of time and effort in researching and setting up your canvas, or how to start drawing. So basically processing in p5.js is making it very easy, right? And let's look at where's the editor. Someday I'm going to be a little less lost. Okay, this is the editor. So you can see it has abstracted enough to give you simple functions, right? So if you have ever used Arduino again, you usually have a setup and you usually have a loop, which basically means setup runs once. It's setting up all the basics you want, your variables, global variables and things like that. And your draw function, or rather the loop functions, keeps running. So that's your basically void while one, right? So what we're going to do is use this to, of course, create more stuff. So it's created a canvas. You can change the size here as per you want. So I'm going to quickly just, so you can see it's created a canvas, right? So I'm going to change the size, 600. 600, and then I hit it, and you can see it's widened, right? So this is how simple it's making your life in terms of, just letting you draw. So you can now start with the canvas, and now you can literally sit and draw points. Like you can literally you can interact with your mouse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a bunch of examples for you all. And there we go. Right? So these are some of the more, I want to get a simple interaction. So let's say follow 3, right? Very simple it is. It's using a bunch of math functions, which is why it seems a little complex, but it's really quite simple, okay? So you see this? And you can add this to your websites and your applications, right? So you can see what it's doing. You have first your global variables, right? You've given your minimum segment number and length. So it's 18 length with 20 segments. Then you have your setup in which you're creating your canvas because you want to create it once. Your stroke weight, which is the thickness of the dot over here. And then your stroke, right? Stroke itself. Next, what you're doing is in the draw, you're first creating a background 0. So you're continuously rendering the background. Then you're drawing the segment, right? So 0, mouse X, mouse Y. So you see this? The moment my mouse leaves, it's gone. So, right? So that's one thing. Then what you're doing is you're creating a loop, and every time this changes, you're basically asking it to follow it very simply, right? And you're using your mouse's position to do the draw segment, right? Then, and over here, you've defined the drag segment function yourself. Over here, you're using a bunch of math functions to make sure that, the curve, you see these curves happening, these intricate curves, and you're using these broken up segments over here to curve. So you see all of these are joints basically. So if I reduce the length of the joint segment number here, so let's say I do 5. Right, let's do 5. So you see this? All of these are joints. So you can see now how it's basically like a mechanic's arm. Get it? And you're using every joint and you're using trigonometry then to turn it at the angle my mouse is going, and the rest of them follow. See? Pretty cool, right? So yeah, you're basically going to be doing some very cool stuff like this, and you all can start playing with it right now. So like you read, right? If you saw the ML5 FAQs, it's saying that it's a little difficult to run it on the editor because sometimes it can't guarantee performance. So it'll be nice if you all can download processing. If not, it's fine. We'll do some simple examples and we'll make sure that this is a workaround for you all. Okay. Cool. I'm looking forward to having you all ready with all of this and explored. Emily did give us a very cool thing to check out as well. I'll be playing around with this for quite a bit. But yeah, we'll be making some really cool stuff. So we should. That's a really good question, Emily. So generative art is anything that is not instructed. It's basically an algorithm creating it, right? So after a point, if the art is not, you did not say make a triangle. You were telling the code, keep drawing lines at 60 degrees, right? Sure, it's a triangle, but it's a generated triangle because it's an algorithm that's creating the triangle. Does that make sense? Because you're generating it, right? So if you tell a software, hey, keep creating lines at every 90 degree, and every fourth time you make a 90 degree, maybe move 20 spaces or 20, positions. So now you have an entire, page filled or canvas filled with squares. So now you could have made that too, but it's generated art, right? And what's fun about this is a lot of times, you don't know what to expect. I think I did a GHW stream with Turtle.js a while back, and we created some really cool stuff with just 5 to 6 lines of code. So if we get time tomorrow, I'll also show you all that. You all posted, if you go back in Discord, people posted some really cool stuff that they created. Cool. So a good thing you all told me, so I think it's Turtle.js. Yep, JS Turtle. So even that's basically a visualizing abstracted library that you can use to draw stuff. But it's more rudimentary, right? So p5.js they've really outdone themselves by including WebGL stuff. So let me see if I can show you something cool. It's a WebGL example. Mandelbrot. They also have these different algorithms that they have visualized, and it's very cool to look at. I want to show you all a WebGL and slightly, there we go, 3D materials. So this is 3D automatically means that they're using WebGL. So let's look at this. See, look at this. So they're using WebGL because they've loaded WebGL here, right? So when they're creating a canvas, they're not only giving it the dimension, they're also loading WebGL as the model. And you can see there's interaction happening also. Yep, that's it, folks. So yeah, we're going to be playing around with this. You can see how short and simple the code is for creating something so fairly complex, right? Yep, people do insane things with this, and if you all get comfortable and do really well, I'm pretty sure each one of you here has a shot at the fellowship, and I would like you all to take it. Cool, great. So I think I'm gonna close the stream early today because we did run a little more in the afternoon, and there's a lot of information that I would love for you all to take the next 30 minutes to sit down and go through and actually deploy your APIs. Maybe choose a different website and make it. Yep. Cool. Well, good night, y'all. Have a great weekend. I will see you all tomorrow afternoon IST. And we're going to have some fun with scraping tomorrow. So we can scrape so keep some really interesting websites ready for us to scrape. Okay? Good night, folks. Have a great weekend.